All right, so we're here, Sure Thing Studios, sit-down interview with Brick Memorial head coach Mike Kiley. Mike, how you doing?
Awesome to be here.
Thanks for coming. So, let's do a little bit of history. Obviously Brick Memorial, you're the head coach of of perhaps the most prominent program in the Shore Conference. 13 Shore Conference titles, 28 district titles, the nine group titles. There's plenty to talk about regarding Brick Memorial, but I think that it's important that the audience knows, that the Kiley family has a long wrestling history, and it actually started in Middlesex County.
Yeah, when I think about the Kiley family and tied to Brick Memorial, a lot of people, a lot of memories, a lot of names start popping in my head, right? So I think of my brother, who is an assistant coach now, alumni. I think of my parents, who are highly involved. I start thinking of Vinnie, right? Alumni, and then starts this great club, which really spearheaded it in New Jersey and the Shore. And then you think of Ocone. But then the main people I really think about is my grandparents and my grandfather, which Rob just said, was a longtime coach. He was started at Madison, and then that became Madison Central, and then it formed with Cedar Ridge to become Old Bridge. So he was the first coach there, and that really was where the mindset of my family of being, competitors, preaching respect and sportsmanship really started. So that's the first link to, the Kileys coming into Memorial and being wrestling people.
So when you and David were born, there was kind of probably wrestling shoes nearby at all times, right?
Yeah, we were ready to roll. We were always preaching that, like I said, we grew up in in a household where when you were sitting down, you were talking about working hard, working towards your goals. Whether it was wrestling, baseball, football at the time, it didn't matter. That's the type of foundation that we were brought up in, and that's because of my grandfather, which passed it to my father.
And then when you came through into the middle school, high school years, it was kind of a renaissance for Brick Memorial wrestling, right? It was.
Yeah, that's where and then it's pretty cool because Dave, when we talk about a family coming through, and we always talk about a Memorial that is a family, right? And that's the roots grow deep there. And when you're alumni, you come back, you're always a part of Brick Memorial. And I think I learned that very early as a young kid watching my brother. And what I mean by that is watching Dave and what Brick Memorial Wrestling was about. And as a young freshman, in a lineup on a tough team, sucking down a weight class because the coach told him to, yes sir, bumping up because Dave Rogers and him were weighing at the same weight. They were playing games with the lineup, and Dave would always get fed to the wolves, and that showed my family what Brick Memorial Wrestling was all about, that it's about bigger than yourself. It's more about the program than the individual at the moment.
And then, you were shortly behind David, and you wrestled on some teams with some kids named Morales and Santos, and they were pretty good, right? And as a team, you wrestled on teams that wrestled on 2 state championship teams. You guys won districts every year.
Yeah.
But we look at the Shore Conference website, we look at the Brick Memorial wall, we see those names: Santos, Dave Kiley, Morales. What was it like being one of the program lineup guys on that ridiculously good team?
Yeah, you know what? It was amazing to be a part of kids that had that high of success, right? Steve Santos going undefeated, being his drilling partner, which it allowed me to really, as I grew, and like you said, Rob, not being on the wall all over the place like these guys, but being a core part of that team that was able to win championships, it showed me, not right away, but down the line while in college, that it really was about the journey. I learned a lot through this process, and still am from this great sport. And then through college, I learned a lot through this sport, and that's really what makes you be able to coach, and that's what I'm trying to pass on to these kids.
And it enables you, venture to say, it enables you to talk to not only the best kids in your team, but it enables you to speak from your heart to all the kids in your team about their importance, the importance of wrestling on your particular team, not only to them, but to their teammates, to their family, to the rabid Brick Memorial fans as well, right?
Exactly, and that's what I believe makes you overachieve in a team and a culture like that, because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people, and you could value the people for who they are in that lineup, and not everybody's going to be a Steve Santos or a Vincent Santinello or an Anthony, right? So you have to have those other intangibles, and some people might be that person that might not get pinned in that dual meet, and that's something we cherish at Brick Memorial, and we'll cheer for you when you come off the mat.
Right, and I think there's a trick to that as well, right? There's a trick to coaching teams to be successful in dual settings, and then finding a way to kind of shift gears back and make sure that they do as well as they can individually as well, right?
Exactly. That's from Ocone. That's Ocone. I remember being an athlete for Dan, and we would just get tech falled 16-0 or 16-1 in the individual dual meet, but he would be coming up and down the bench. We're still up 6 points. And that's where I learned that from. It's a tough thing to do. I don't really love telling a kid, hey, you're not winning this match. Go out and do this. But it worked for us this year. It won us close matches, saving that team point, getting teched and fighting off your back. But we preach that a lot in practice.
Everybody doesn't know Rob Morello, Mike Kiley. Everyone knows Dan O'Cone. What was it like wrestling for him?
Oh, what a leader. And my dad always uses this term about Dan, and it's so true now. And now I reflect back to him in practice and now thinking as a coach in his shoes where he was. What a leader of men. He was able to get the most out of everybody in that room every minute, every hour. And something that O'Cone left with me when I was taking over was make sure or try to talk to every kid in every practice. And that was really stuck with me, and it's something I try to do still to this day.
And we talk about being spoiled in terms of the coaches you got to wrestle for. You got to spend some time with Coach Ice, right, at TCNJ.
Yeah.
And, God rest his soul, everybody, the whole world speaks amazingly of the kind of coaching guy he was.
Yeah.
What kind of lessons did you learn from Ice?
So, you know what, Ice had an X factor. There was something about him that not many people I've come in contact have, that you just want to be around him, right? You want to just, even if you're not in the conversation, stand by the conversation because you're around Ice. And that's the feeling he gave off. You wanted him to say, hey, that was a good shot, Kiley. That made you feel very good about yourself. Not everybody has that, right? A lot of coaches have said that to me, but when Ice said it, it meant something. I felt it when I went home. And on top of that, he was the ultimate manager. He was able to manage such big events with such ease. And I think when you think about it, why he was able to do that is because everybody, he was seeing it from the eagle's eye, right? He was managing everything. And everybody on the ground level respected the heck out of that guy. That's why everything was so efficient. And then to add on to that, you could just keep rambling about Ice because he was great. To add on to that, why did everybody respect him? Because he made everybody feel like they were a part of what he was doing. So for an example, you walk into the into Eichhoff Hall, a cafeteria lady could be walking in with a very nice TCNJ wrestling jacket. He took care of everybody on that campus because he knew what he was trying to do was so high level and he needed the help of everybody. And that was what I took from Ice. What a leader.
And really, this is the first time you're saying this to me. We kind of came into this a little bit cold.
Yeah.
I see those stamps on the way that you run your program. I mean, I see it on the social media.
Yeah.
I see the way you incorporate everybody into Mustang world with the shirts and the Twitter and getting the kids involved on social media, kind of driving the hype train as the season and even in the off season. You're doing it all year, right?
That's a year-round thing, and that's where we are today, right? Maybe back 20 years ago that wasn't the case. Now that's where we are, and that's what's exciting these kids, exciting these families, and keeping it going all year round. And that's passed down through Ice, which is pretty cool, full circle to O'Cone, and O'Cone really passed that on to me. So that trickled down.
You didn't have to graduate from college and come right back into the Brick Memorial fire, right? You were able to kind of test the waters and grow a little bit as a coach up at David Brearley in Kenilworth, right?
Kenilworth, New Jersey, yep.
And did that ultimately help you be more prepared for what was waiting for you when you finally came home to Brick?
Absolutely, Rob. I mean, that was the best stepping stone job I could have asked for. Why? Because of the lack of expectations at David Brearley at the time. They were great when I was coming up. They won Group 2 titles and they beat me and our team. So they were a very good program at the time, but transfers sucked a bunch of kids out, and we were low in numbers. I think I had 17 kids in when I started. So I was a 23-year-old kid, not really knowing the ropes and how to go about doing this thing, and it was a perfect way for me to grow through those growing pains and mistakes and being able to grow through them. Because at Brick Memorial, I might have got chewed up for a couple of the mistakes I made.
Sure, and you learned being head coach is less about wrestling on the mat than you may have thought it was, right?
Yeah, it's about 10% of what goes into this, and it's amazing for me right now, and I'm bouncing back to Brick Memorial because bouncing off of technique, I don't really even worry about it because I got this place, I got this guy, Vinnie, I got the technique is everywhere. It's really managing and making that culture, that team in that room. I mean, I got endless resources for technique, so that's something I don't even really worry about.
Right. How did you get, how did your return to Brick Memorial start?
That was, O'Cone putting it out there, basically. Because you know what? It was a tough thing. It was a pay cut. Not many people probably know, but I was getting taken care of up north, and it was a pretty good pay cut, and I was leveling that stuff out. But really, I knew this is where I wanted to be. And when I took that Braley job, I just missed getting that head coaching job fresh out. I mean, probably wouldn't have been the right thing for me to take over Brick Memorial at that young of an age. It was a perfect transition, but I was, I've never told anybody this, but I was upset about it. I was still not even in a position to put in for it. I was still in college, but I was upset because I knew deep down this is the job.
Just as a competitor, you were like, somebody beat me, right?
Dang,
somebody you knew, a teammate, right?
Credit to Denver, man. College teammate. What a stud that kid was. And what a great job he did while he was at Brick Memorial. Just didn't happen to work out. But God, I'm blessed to be where I am now, and that whole thing worked out for the better.
I don't know who said it to me. Somebody once said to me, "You always end up in the place that you're supposed to be," right?
And I think that happened here.
And even for Denver, right? Denver has settled right back into coaching wrestling, closer to home.
It's perfect.
At a program that seems to suit them really well up at Bridgewater Raritan, right?
I think it's a perfect transition for everybody.
I imagine the interview with, I guess it was Ocone then, right?
He actually sat out of it. He wanted to be hands off with it.
Okay.
I mean, we were in talking to get to the interview, but then it was who I have to give a shout out to is Ed Sarluca, man, with my AD. I sat down with him, who was my football coach and teacher growing up, but he's the AD, and what support he gives, it's unbelievable. Was
it intimidating to think about taking over, the mighty Brick Memorial Mustang team?
It was, and you know what? It was to a certain extent, but I knew the support I had behind me. And I knew when I was going home, I had my brother, I had my dad, I had my grandparents, like I said, I had the core group of kids I wrestled with, I had Sure Thing, I had these connections, and Mr. Ocone right in the building, right? So I had a lot of people that wanted me to succeed. So the nerves kind of got taken out there because I just knew I had a good support system. And even, Miss Richardson, like just in contact with her every day, I knew that this program we were gonna take off,
What were the maybe 3 most important things that you did first to start to cement your legacy or to get the ship moving in the direction you wanted it to move?
Establish a relationship with the parents. That was the most important thing. And, this could be number 2, establish that relationship with the parents. And secondly, make them aware of your expectations and what you expect, not only from yourself, what you're going to give, what you expect the student athletes, and also of them, and that needs to be communicated right away. And then secondly, I came in and I let the program know I was not messing around. I kicked a kid off the team that was probably one of the better kids, because he wasn't I gave him chances, but it wasn't aligning with the program. And I think that made everybody aware that this guy's here for business.
And it's been, it's never always easy, right? That you came in and it maybe wasn't the best constructed roster that you would have liked to have had at the time. What has it been like to, I don't want to, resurrect isn't the right term, but to steer the program towards 2020, 2021, where you're now starting to reap those rewards?
Yeah, that's a lot of hard work from many people, right? There's a lot of people behind the scenes doing a lot of work. And I think for it to, and also for my coaching staff, we do a lot of work for these kids and for this program to keep it up at the level with all these other great programs in the area and in the state. And for us to get a little credibility, I think that was huge for us as a staff and for us as this new breed of Brick Memorial. I think it was very huge, and I think we're going to take it and keep running.
Because you're in a town, and I'm from a similar kind of town where there's a lot of alumni who wrestle, and a lot of times those alumni are your biggest fans at matches. They can also be your biggest critics, right?
Yeah,
and have you learned that those are also important relationships to develop?
You need that, right? You need people that make this important. It makes it important for your kids too when you travel and you see guys sitting up top that are at every match, and that is just as important. So those relationships, and take it with a grain of salt when they rip you, a little. Hey, coach, why'd you make that decision? You know what? I'd rather you care than not care. So it's not a dig. I know at the end of the day they all want Brick Memorial to win. So it's not out of bad feelings or anything.
Right.
Like that. So that's a good thing to have those people that care, or the haters, right? Sometimes.
Right. Right. Is it a different experience coaching the kids of the guy that coached you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When Vincent was coming in, I just said I wasn't nervous when I took over Brick Memorial. I wasn't nervous my first year. When Vincent was coming in, because Vinnie too, that's a high-profile guy. That's a high-profile family, especially in this state, in this area. And I called my brother. I was like, dude, I need you to come back on staff. You know, he made me feel comfortable. I have a great relationship with Vinnie, but him and Vinnie are very tight. He wrestled at a high level, and it just gave me that comfortability that, you know, we're going to do what's right for this guy, and we're going to be at a high level and try to, you know, make it the best experience we can make.
So Vincent and to an extent Vinnie were one of the reasons that you pulled David back in.
I basically was like, Dave, you're coming back. You're coming to Memorial. I want you to be here.
What did you think what does having Dave in the room bring to the program?
You know what, Dave is very, he could be almost too much. He's very cutthroat, and he has his mindset, he has his beliefs, and you know what, Rob, usually they're pretty damn good. You know, they're pretty spot on and how to win at a pretty high level, and I think that's his biggest asset. He is there for this reason, and he's not teetering from it.
Right.
This is the purpose, and it's pretty good.
And one of the most appreciated guys that you have on your staff, who some programs might not even realize you have, is Ryan Wilson, and that's you know, Wilson is not a Mustang. Wilson's a wall guy, right?
Wall guy,
yeah.
yeah.
But he's been there a while, and the kids love him, right?
Yeah, he's a Stang in my eyes now.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually the only guy on our staff that's not from Memorial.
Right.
Every other guy's alumni, but I mean, he fits right in. He takes pride in Brick Memorial.
Right.
He's you know, he's a Stang through and through at this point, and the kids love him, like you said. What a room he has down low. You know, over there, that's a fun room when you walk over and see the lightweights rolling.
And then what has Ty Rich brought back from college at ESU?
Ty Rich brings back a free-flowing, you know, like a fun Orthodox style. If we're rolling that day, he's fun one to watch. And you know what he did with a kid like Sam Williams? Sam was a brawler in the beginning of the season. Me and my brother kind of got him with the hand fight, and then we turned him over to Tyler. And when he went down the States, he was rolling around the mat, crab rides. Tyler's able to bring that out of kids. You know, he gives you that funky style, and especially with that body. And also, the kids love Tyler. He's funny as heck.
Yeah.
Coach Richardson's funny one, so he's a good one to have.
And then you added another Tyler recently, but Poling came back in, right?
Yeah,
and he's
man,
working with the upper weights.
What an asset he is. What I'll say is he's someone that didn't have much growing up, and Brick Memorial gave him so much, and you could see the passion.
Right.
You could just see the passion coming through that kid and what he has for this program. It's special.
And he's another Mike Kiley type. He was a super important piece of an incredible team.
Yep.
Not by any means the best kid in the lineup, though.
No, and you get overshadowed by these kids that are just outstanding. I mean, you know, Mike Morales and Steve Santos, 2 state champs in 1 year, who even really comes across that.
Right. You know, moving from Kenilworth down to Brick, where, you know, we like to believe in Shore Conference we have the best 2 wrestling counties in the state, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe in more than this state, right? Yeah, we can go big. Did you learn quickly the importance of your feeder program?
Wow, it's really essential in this. And what I learned about it. We had a pretty good one in Braley. It was pretty good. On the flip end, it was kind of not great when I came back to Brick. So when I was coming up, it was outstanding. You had team 1 through 6, right? And you were just lucky to make team number 3. Right. That's how good we were back in the day when I was coming through. But it's kind of trickled down, and it wasn't great when I was coming back and about to take over the program. And that's where I got to give a plug and a shout out to Tony Nash, Dan Santinello, Dan O'Cone, Sherry's Pops over on the other side for taking that and revamping it, and now we're back. We're starting to make that climb back to where we were.
Yeah, the Mat Rats are starting to fly a little bit now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You got numbers, you got people, great people in place running it, and people are it's starting to buzz a little bit.
You know, you came through a couple of lean years, and now you're starting to reap the benefits. I mean, you had a gigantic year this year. You had 3 in the state finals, 4 place winners.
Yep.
Talk about the sort of vindication feeling come March this year or even come late January, early February when you started to feel that it was coming together for you.
Yeah, you know, you feel those feelings early after a solid district tournament or a state section, you know, and then you get into districts and regions. You have a solid region tournament too, but during those times until it's done, you can't take your foot off the gas pedal, right? So you're excited, and then it's like you get back to, oh man, we got to go right back to work. So it never really felt good until you're sitting in the grandstand. And then honestly, Rob, those were tough finals. You know, so you even left Atlantic City. How many times do you leave Atlantic City happy? It's a tough place to leave happy. So
only one kid and one family in every weight class.
It's unbelievable, right? Yeah. So you know, you have that great tournament, that great weekend, and then for it to end like that, was it unbelievable? Absolutely, that was an unbelievable weekend. I cherish those moments for the rest of my life. But did it end the way we wanted? No. So it still leaves that little sour taste in your mouth, but it does give you a little credibility. Like I said before, you're doing the right things, stay the course, and let's get back to work, and let's leave here next year happy.
It wasn't even rosy during the season. You had a
Yeah.
lot of injuries. You took some tough dual losses. Do you think that it helped the boys to be a little bit more battle tested and having suffered some losses along the way?
Hands down. I think we put the schedule together because we knew we could achieve some things at the end of the season, and I wanted to take losses, right? I mean, you got to be put in those situations where it's tough, and then down the stretch you're going to be able to compete and pull it out, which we were able to do. So I think the schedule was perfect for what we were trying to do this year.
How does the Shore Conference look right now? Now you've been in it as a wrestler, and you've been looking at it as an outsider, being up in Union County, and now you're back. What is the wrestling health of the Shore Conference?
Places like this, right? I mean, what it is, Rob, is watching your Zoom practice with Vinnie and watching you Zoom to other kids, and these kids are taking it serious. They have mats, and that's what it's about. I mean, there is wrestling in our roots here in Shore, and it's not going anywhere. I mean, I think it's only growing because to see how many kids had a mat in their house and parents training with their kids or whatever it is, this is a special place to be if you're a wrestler.
Thanks. Well, that's all the questions I have. Mike, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Sure thing.
Stay tuned. Mike Kiley, head coach, Brick Memorial.
Thank you, guys.